What started as a stress busting hobby for designer Abhisek Basak turned into a passion called Absynthe Design. The beauty of Absynthe creations lies in the fact that they are made using parts of old mechanical watches and antique watches. These watches transform in Abhishek's hands, returning to its former glory, only more beautiful, more complex, and ready to tell a tale. All the pieces are handcrafted in an eco-friendly, smoke-free environment. We speak to brand's founder about the handcrafted story of Absinthe Design. Welcome and
Hi.
thank you for having this conversation with us.
Thank you. It's really nice to have seeing someone after all this lockdown and have a conversation.
Yes. So let's begin with the last year, 2020. It was nothing that we thought it to be when we were welcoming it on 31st of December in 2019.
Right.
So, what has been your takeaway from the year, and has it impacted the creator in you in some way?
Well, it was very tough, especially for small time designers and entrepreneurs like me. But what I decided how to handle it, especially the depression or the frustration that came with it. So I had set a goal of 100 items in 100 days. So I actually ended up making 100 pieces in 100 days of lockdown. So yeah, so from small items to large items, for me it was very important to be able to channelize all that energy and not to stop with the creativity, to actually see myself through this time. And every time I have faced difficult situation in life or challenging situations in life, I have always channelized it and handled it through the pieces I create, through the creative process. Because for me it kind of answers everything, right? So during the lockdown also, which is I think one of the most difficult periods of our time, and even my parents, both of them got COVID, right? So everything was immensely challenging and difficult. But then I think the pieces that I have made also are some of my career's best pieces that I've made during this time. So my takeaway from this is, we keep hearing those things that when you face challenging situations and when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and we have all heard it. But I actually lived through it in 2020. And I think the best came out of the worst time. So it kind of prepares me for the rest of my life, that I know that no matter what challenging situations come and things that I face, I can actually make something positive out of it. And also the reception from people has also been tremendous. I think everybody was also dying to see some positive aspect to it, something nice and beautiful in these dark, gloomy times. So yeah, it's been exciting, and it's quite good actually.
So you have always found beauty in fragments of timepieces. People would think that let's just discard this piece, but you always bring it to just a beautiful create a beautiful piece out of it, restore its glory. So what is your thought process? What is your crafting process? We understand now, after so many years, there are a lot of things that you've done, you've added to your brand. So what is your crafting process? What goes on after you decide to put something together?
It's the process is very exciting. It's not only the end result that I'm looking forward to, but it's a process also, which is very exciting for me. And the process in itself is a sort of discovery. It's a sort of training, because every piece that I find, an old timepiece, a piece of old machine part, or even I work with skulls and bones and insects and things like that, right? So every piece I find is a new training in itself. There are lots of learning and discoveries to be made, that what this part is to be used for, what the insect I'm working with is. right? So that in itself, and by nature, I'm a very curious guy. I mean, we humans are curious by nature, right? And and I'm a very curious guy. I love to learn about new things, search and find new things. So that's what it starts with, and then it takes its own life. And even I sometimes can't predict what journey I'm going to get into with that piece. So uh, there are challenges in restoring it, because restoration is always priority number one. It's the value and the history and the story of that piece. Then designing something around it, so that not to compromise on its authenticity, not to put something on it that will undermine its value in terms of its history, in terms of its source. So all of these individual steps that goes into designing it, in the design part, in the design process itself, is extremely fulfilling as well, because you know that you have added some value to your life and added some value to the piece itself. And then when it comes to crafting, oh, that's another, it's a roller coaster ride. Sometimes it gets really frustrating, because I am not getting what I've envisioned, what I'm trying to create. And then I have to learn new skills, learn new techniques, or sometimes it just takes days on an end to get one part of it right. But once that is right, and there is no point cutting corners in this, because it's all about expression. And that expression, the story that I want to tell, the feelings that I want to express, it has to be honest and genuine. Otherwise, you as a viewer will know immediately that something is not right in it. It's a conversation I'm having with my viewer on a very emotional heart-to-heart basis. So the whole design process is like that. It's a conversation, and the moment I'm trying to hide something or not do it right, correct, you will just get it. So there's no point taking that route. So yeah, sometimes it gets tiring and frustrating, but at the end of the day, I'm very happy with the pieces I make. Sometimes it happens very fast, everything just falls in place. But sometimes it takes days and weeks and months to come up with that single piece.
And Absinthe has some beautiful, stunning designs. I've seen them. I've always been so mesmerized by it. And also,
Thank you so much.
Wanting to ask you that you've always created these one-of-a-kind pieces. I know it's very intricate process, craftsmanship that your pieces involve. But how come you've not succumbed to the mass line of jewelry or brooches or men's jewelry over the years? You're still holding on.
Well, the temptation has been extremely, strong, as you can understand. But see, my whole point of starting Absinthe, or making the stuff I do, is the idea is not to create products. The idea is not to get sellable items. The idea is to tell a story, to have a conversation, to create pieces which you will pass on to your next generation. Yes. Because if you see in our last couple of generations, the way product design, jewelry design, etc. has happened, there are hardly things which are heirloom quality. Everything has become very disposable, very short-term use, right? And jewelry also, we hand over not because of the design value in it, but because of the material value in it. Which as a designer for me is sort of very hurtful. If I'm not creating something that can be passed on to the next generation, or appreciated for the story or the principles it stands for, then I'm doing precious little. So that is why each piece has become like a singular journey, and my addiction is of telling stories rather than making money, right? If I make something really beautiful, if I make something that connects people, or that creates that inspires emotion in them, then people will come, people will find me, people will come, and the rest of it will happen. But it's like a writer doesn't want to write the same story over and over again, right? Like, you don't want to tell the same story over and over again. You always find new stories, new ways of telling it, right? So art is like that. It's I want to transcend my work from the realm of just product design into creating wonderful, happy art. So so that is what my temptation is, rather than creating lines of products, how design works. I want to create like bunch of stories to tell.
But Abhishek, it is also true that there are only handful of honest designers and brands like you who think, on these lines. Do you think that conscious consumerism and consumption is going to be a reality soon? People keep talking about, especially after this pandemic, people are talking about being conscious, staying true to nature and things like that. But do you think people are actually going to change the whole mindset that we have been brought up, in, and is it going to change? Are we, as consumers, do you think that your consumers changing now?
um See, what I am noticing is that the whole consumer demography is kind of getting two very strong, going to two very different and strong camps. So one who doesn't really care, as long as they're getting the stuff that they like in the kind of budget that they have, they're happy. But there is a very growing, like a strong growing group of people who are very conscious about what they're buying, how they're using it, how they're reusing it. And because of these kind of people who are very conscious, who are very responsible, and who are communicating that, designers like me, brands like me are getting more and more, we are getting emboldened to actually follow a path where we are reusing a lot of material. You know, um, because at the end of the day, when you face the consumer, the question always becomes like, we have grown up seeing or thinking because of disposable consumerism, if it's first hand, second hand, if it's used, things like that, right? But like I work with recycled, reused material, things which are really old and antique, right? Because I see there is not only beauty in it, but it comes with a history and story of its own, right? There's a nostalgia to it. Similarly, when it comes to material, there is no other way for us to move forward in this planet if we do not recycle and reuse, if we do not reduce how much we are using. you know it, it's beyond any debate at this point of time. We all know that. It's just that how soon we can get to a place, we can evolve to a place where we will start to reduce our consumption, reuse what we have consumed, and recycle what we have used. If we don't do that, from every single thing, from a pencil and paper to everything that we use in our daily life, the next generations will have precious little to use them. So yes, there, and because of how a lot of market leaders, a lot of media leaders, they're taking this initiative in educating people, in making them aware. I think awareness is extremely important. So once that part is done, then yes, designers like us, manufacturers, we all have to take leadership in that we create such products for consumers. If we don't create it, if we only look at our top line and bottom line and how much profit we are making, even with conscious consumers, they just won't get the stuff to use. And so we have to take the leadership in like spearheading this movement and take it to like a critical mass movement.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that this whole debate around, consumerism and how we are, especially in India, it's very, people are slightly wary of using these pre-loved goods, and unless it's a designer bag. But there are a lot of things that we can actually reuse and recycle and make it even more beautiful. But do you think, this that mindset of ours is slowly disintegrating, or it is like a very temporary phase right now? I want you to elaborate more, because what you were saying.
See, the responsibility lies with the creator. The responsibility lies with the designer and the manufacturer. If we can create desirable designs, if the manufacturer can manufacture quality product out of this recycled and reused things, then people will love them, people will use them, right? if a recycled product looks like junk, right? If it looks like it's been used, then none of us would like to use it. So it is important that what we present to the consumer, it's not only the consumer's responsibility to be aware and just buy whatever is available. Whatever, at the end of the day, whatever is available needs to be of quality. It needs to be usable, it needs to be user friendly, and it needs to add that value to that consumer's life. You cannot make it a moralistic issue. This is not an issue of moral. At the end of the day, you spend your hard-earned money into buying a product that you want to use. As long as you're able to use it properly and getting your value of money out of it, it's perfect. See, again, you cannot avoid consumerism, right? So the product has to be created that will support and evolve consumerism, right? There's no point giving it a tint of moral and all of these, environmental stories when you're not creating quality products. So though I use all recycled parts, even my metal is recycled, I use broken parts, but I pay utmost importance to the finishing of it. When it is finished, the product should look like $1 million. And no one can point a finger that this is broken or this is not finished right, and I will just throw this handmade recycled story at them. It's taking the easy way out. It's giving an excuse for a badly made, badly created product. So for me individually, as a creator, as a maker, it is very important that when I'm done with my product, no matter how many broken parts I have used, the piece in its totality should be much greater than some of its components. And that is where I can come in, that I should add my value, my design ethos, my hard work in it, so that someone who is seeing it should find it desirable. And that needs to be, all of our goal, that to create something of value. Then the consumer won't care if it was reused, if it was used before. If they're getting something beautiful for bang for their buck, they would definitely take it.
Yeah. And then it will go beyond tokenism, as we say.
Absolutely. That's what will break the taboo of tokenism, because people will see that there is work, there is effort that has gone into it. Once they see that, then there is no looking back. Then everybody will see the value in it. Otherwise, it's just, like we mostly see that it's just social media tokenism, just to get a few likes, and after that it's gone.
Yeah. And I am assuming that you're working on something very interesting. There was some kind of buzz. So would you like to spill the bean a little bit, what you're working on right now, if there's something in pipeline?
So, I make individual one-of-a-kind pieces, right? So this year, my focus is more on creating sculptural pieces. So not only jewelry, but jewelry which are like miniature sculptures. So more of avant-garde. I'm trying to take the design language into an area where it is more expressive, where it is more intricate, and it's more. Basically, I want to get more wows from people, right? To create pieces that people will feel that should belongs in a museum, right? So that's always like pushing the boundaries and everything. And like every year I create 2 new products that I have not made before. It could be a motorbike, it could be bags, it could be anything. So even I don't always plan for it. So this year I don't know what it's going to be, but yeah, 2021 has to be like awesome, more than ever. We all need that. We all need to see that.
Very well said. We all need that. We all need that.
Yeah.
Hope to.
Yeah, absolutely, to give each other hope, and to to tell each other that we survived and we came out stronger.
Yes. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for that lovely conversation. There was so much, things that we got to know, and our viewers are going to, learn from you. And I hope that everything goes really well this year.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you for the opportunity to reach out. And but let's all work towards making 2021 like a really awesome year.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.